meeting to order at 9:34. Present Bill McGowan, Lisa McGonigal, Wayne Sawchuk, Paul Kearse, and Dan Coughlin. So first order of business is our next meeting. Does the 16th work for everyone?
Should be.
Yep.
That's a Tuesday. Yep.
Okay. So Lisa, there was some discussion about I not being able to do something today. Is that true still?
Correct. So Scott and Rob are on vacation this week, so we'll push that out till next meeting.
Okay. So why don't we go on to Cook Estate? And I think Jane is on. Yes, she is. Do you want to start, Jane?
Sure. I think the easement was one of the things we wanted to talk about, and I think I saw that Sharon was on. I don't see her name right now, but there was some communication from Brian Hagee's attorney. Brian is our abutter, and Brian and Ava, and they had sent information back, I think, to Sharon about some language changes. Oh, there you are. And so I wanted to see if we could move that forward. The Hagees have, I don't have it in my hand yet, but they've signed the application, and I'll get a copy to our to Paul Davis today, so he can complete it and get it into you guys. And then the easement is the piece of the puzzle that the Hagees and the Cook Estate are in negotiation, but there's some language changes. So Sharon, maybe you could talk a little bit about what was sent to you from Chris Agostino, who is the Hagees attorney. Would that be okay?
Yes, just if you don't mind, give me 1 minute while I pull that up.
Great. There's Chris. Great, thank you, Chris. And are the Hagees on? They had sent me an email to ask for the contact information.
Yeah, one is on. Brian is on.
That's good. Perfect. Great.
So Chris sent me the language of the easement, and I had proposed some changes. It, in particular, where we seem to be caught up is what the Hagees can do within the sewer easement, and what the town's obligation is to restore the property if it goes and disturbs the site. So Chris had added some language saying that once the site is disturbed, that the town would go in and replace the grass, replace any trees and shrubs that may be removed as a result of the entry, and basically put it back to its exact same condition. And maybe you can correct me, but it's my understanding that once you go in, it's hard to replace every blade of grass that's disturbed and replant trees. The best thing to do is to leave that easement area just alone and not do anything with it, so that there are such not onerous restoration obligations on the town. If that's something that the town is willing to do, then absolutely we can accept those changes. But I just needed guidance from you as to what you usually restore and don't.
I think I want to mention one thing. I think it's the responsibility of obviously the association there, but of the contractor doing the work. It's going to be, he is the one that is going to be responsible for restoring the area to what it was when they started it. And
Wayne, we intend to do that as part of the construction project. I think the easement language we're talking about is in the future. If the town is going to be responsible for maintaining the pipe, and if the town needs to go in and do work on the pipe and disturbs land or other things that have been put on top of it. That's the issue.
That should
It's
be-
not construction.
It's not initial construction, it's afterwards.
No, we're handling all the restoration after construction. That's the Cook Estate and our contractor.
So Bill, is Brian Joyce on the line? Is he?
No.
He's not here today?
No.
Because this is his subject matter expertise as to what is normally done on an ongoing basis. So I would recommend getting the language to him and seeing what.
Lisa, do you know when Brian's going to
do.
be back? Sorry, Paul. Do you know when he will be back?
Yes, Brian will be back in the office tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
I can send the language. What it says is that you're going to be return any disturbed areas to its original grade, which I completely understand, and replant the grass, bushes, and vegetation, repave any asphalt, and otherwise return it to its condition prior to the town's entry.
So since we're
If I
talking
could
about this aspect, yeah, I'd like to have Glenn Pratt be promoted as panelist so we can get his input on the aspect of leaving the property the way it was as well. He's representing the emergency management and the school property at this point.
So, but Paul, can we go back to the easement, which is
Sure.
I think a different subject, and I just want to close it so that we're ready to go. And the easement, we can't put a shovel on the Haggis property till the easement is complete. So I understand. We'll get to the school property in a second, but the easement is different. I think it's between ourselves and the Haggis, and the town, who's going to maintain the pipe, then has the right to alter it and look at language, which is, I think, what we're talking about. I think the issue is not, and Chris, you're on, and I believe Brian Heggie is on. I believe the issue is not the grass. It's a restriction about putting anything over on the ground above where the pipe is. So that it would then have to, it's not today, there's nothing there but grass. There's a tree line. We've tried to avoid in putting this in the tree line and its roots, and actually move things just a little away from an ash tree to try and save that tree. But it is in the future a restriction in the language of the easement saying that you can't put anything on top of it, a perennial bed, a structure, other trees. And that's, I think, what the Haggis and Chris are wanting to strike from the language.
Yeah, if I could weigh in, and again, this is Christopher Agostino. I'm counsel for Brian and Ava Heggie. I just saw the invite to this, so I'm glad I was able to catch you all and hopefully resolve this question. I entered this discussion under the impression that this was a bilateral agreement between the Heggies and the condominium. And I understand that the town is going to have the right to maintain the pipe. And my sense of that was that would only come up if the condo did not complete their maintenance and repair activities. Is the intent that this easement is going to be granted to the town in total, and the town is going to, or the water and sewer department or whoever is going to own the pipe is going to be the primary beneficiary of this easement?
Chris, it's my understanding that once the work is done by the trustees, that the easement is going to be assigned to the town.
Okay, and from there on out, if there's ever a problem as between the pipe and the Heggies are now dealing with the town and not the condo.
That's my understanding, correct?
Okay, so these arrangements vary in every single situation you encounter. So that's news to me as of yesterday evening. And it's not insurmountable. We'll be able to resolve that. But I think just for purposes of the easement language, the last comment I sent to Sharon last night suggested that rather than restrict what you can put on the easement area, we would limit any restoration obligations, so that if God forbid, and this is a gravity fed line, right?
It's a pressure line, 2-inch pressure.
Pressure line.
It's a pressure line the whole way? Okay. Um, if God forbid there's some issue in the ground there, and we do have to dig it up, I think the Heggies will understand that anything they put on there beyond grass and asphalt, because I would note that their driveway does run across this easement area. And one of the comments that I saw was that we can't even put down asphalt, which certainly is not within our expectations. So, as long as I think there should be some obligation. And again, we're talking about the remote possibility of having to dig up the whole thing along the way. But as long as the quote to do the work, whatever it may be, includes replanting grass or leveling to grade, replanting grass and restoring the asphalt driveway, that's sufficient. And then anything beyond that, I have to, talk to the Heggies about, because, they went into this understanding that they were dealing with the condo exclusively, and this intent to convey it to the town. I didn't spot it. I thought this was more of, something in the way of a stub line, as though it was access over a front lawn type thing. So I'm confident that if the commission gives Sharon and I some direction as to what they are comfortable as far as restoration rights in the event of maintenance and repair, because obviously this first go around, the installation itself, we have language as between the Heggies and the condo, what the restoration will be. But, in the future, I'd like to get a sense of, how much restoration they're willing to do. But the other issue is, generally on sewer lines, the owner of the Servian estate retains the right to use it in any manner that does not unreasonably interfere with the sewer line. And generally a sewer line is going to be, some number of feet below ground. I think we're talking about 5 feet on this one. So, the Heggies, that's their yard, and they were under the impression that they can continue to use it as such and plant grass, and, if they want to put a garden there, and if they wanted to do things over that, they could, as long as they do not interfere with the easement. And this conversation has added to the restrictions that I don't think they were initially anticipating. But I think for purposes of this, let's just get a sense of restoration rights, and then I think we can take it back and discuss details with the condo. One more thing before I forget, and then I'll turn it back over to the commission. Now that the town is receiving an assignment of this easement, one of the issues is that, we understood this to be for the benefit of the condominium. And we had language in there that identified it was restricted to the condominium. Is there any intent that others would be able to tap into this line? And can we just confirm that question one way or the other? Thank you.
No, it's correct. Now, there's something here that we needed, if there was let me say this. This is technically a private line that's going on the adjacent property, and I don't mind if our rights start at just going over the school property, meaning the town land, and keeping the responsibility to the association for maintaining that section. And another thing I'm thinking about is that you're putting in a new grinder pump and stuff so that it connects onto the 2-inch pressure line. That grinder pump has to be maintained by the homeowner after that's put in, even though an easement is given to us, and there's some other language here. And the private landowner might say, gee, I really want that responsibility to go on the association because it's going to affect the association's line going down towards the end result over at the school. So do we want to have it so that the association is the one that has the easement, and we only pick up, you almost don't even need an easement for going over the town land, because we are the town land.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if that's the case, Wayne. I
So
mean,
we had a discussion about this because it's two separate properties. The Cook Estate is paying to put the entire line in, and then the line is going to be conveyed to the town. So the town's going to own the line after it's put in. And there's two separate entities. There's the Cook Estate entity, and then there's the Hagee entity. So those two would need easements with the town for any future repair to the line.
And that's why we're having this discussion, because originally, Chris, you're exactly right. It was between the Cook Estate and you guys, and that was the easement. And then we were told that the town needed to own the line afterwards, and so they needed to be part of the easement.
Correct, because it's a separate property, separate entity.
Correct. So that's why we're where we are.
That's right.
If I think I see Sean Hardy on the line. I don't know if is Ellen Shapiro on, Lisa? She's our attorney. I don't think so, but
Don't see her, no.
okay. It would be.
I think we can simply solve the restoration right language tomorrow with Brian. I don't think it would take him much longer than a half an hour.
Great.
And
Our hope would be that today is Tuesday, that by Thursday we can be between the Hagees and ourselves and the town and that legal language, get the final steps of the negotiation and signed, so that it doesn't hold up the work. That's where I'm trying to be at, and I've been very honest with Brian and his attorney and our board and our attorney that's our goal.
So I think in terms of restoration, it's very common to say that we'll restore the grade, and if there's any asphalt, we'll restore it, and that's, that can be confirmed later. I think the main question is for the commission: does the town need the easement? I mean,
the town does need easement from
all right.
both properties, right?
If
So
you own the line, so
Paul.
is the intent still to own the line? I see Mr. Sawchuk was kind of intimating he was questioning that.
My concern is what happens 12 months from now when there's a break in front of the house that might have been caused by the contractor, but it's a year's gone by. The town is repairing something that really is only being used by essentially one entity, but in fact is just as part of the deal is picking up the responsibility for the house so they can get to it. So it's a private line, so does the town really want the responsibility to fix the private line that's on either the Cook property or the house property?
So we went through this with Greg Corbo, who stated that we would need two easements because of the two entities on the property. So if in 12 months, if the line's conveyed to the town, then the town owns the line, and then we need an easement to go onto the property, no matter where there's a disturbance in the line.
Right, but we have to pay for any work that's being done on that line that is only serving one property.
Well, it's
Right.
serving 28 properties.
Right.
Yeah.
So the cost is not the issue. The issue is the easement. We need the right to go onto the property, repair what we need to repair at our cost, and then restore the property back to its original condition. So whether it's on a Cook Estate property or it's on the Haggerty property, we need that easement to do that.
Okay.
So that brings up two questions. First of all, we don't have an easement from the Cook Estates.
I believe there's one already in existence
Okay.
previously for
Okay.
all of the town water and everything that's already on our property. We can go back and verify that, but that's what I was told.
Okay.
That
Okay.
easement already is in existence.
Okay, so I think that, at least for the Hagee's property, Chris, I think we addressed the restoration issue. The second issue, the third issue the commission can answer is to whether it's going to remain a private and we're not going to let anybody else connect. Could the commissioners give us any input on that issue?
So it's going to be conveyed to the town.
Correct.
We voted at town meeting to extend the sewer district, so now it's part of the sewer district.
I see.
So There are no other properties that would be connecting to it. Best that we can tell because of the location of where it is. The only discussion we ever had was that the Cook Estate has 27 units up there. They have a capacity to put in 3 to 5 more units if they chose to do so. But that's the only conversation we had of others hooking up to that line.
I see. Okay. So long as it's within the Cook Estates, I think then that would be acceptable to the Heggies, correct? Chris?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, and that was the pertinent language I had added, that it's for the condos benefit.
Correct. Okay. And then the second issue is obviously I don't think the town wants to see buildings on buildings or structures within that easement area.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if they want to put, and again, when we're dealing with easements, there's a sense of permanence, which is why we always have a heightened sense of what we can and can't do, because this is an encumbrance on their property that lives forever. So, you know, I can't, as we sit here, draft to every future contingency, but if, you know, say they want to put a woodshed over there, they should be able to put a woodshed on. It's movable, but we would understand that if they move the woodshed for maintenance purposes, that the Heggies would likely be responsible for restoring. So my conversation, you know, hopefully Sharon and I, you know, as long as it's level to grade and asphalt and grass is planted, then anything beyond that, as far as restoration, would be on the grantor's dime.
Okay.
So then that would, I think, in essence, regulate what they may or may not do over that easement, because they know that, hey, there's a possibility that it could get torn up. I mean, I've seen buildings built over sewer easements that, you know, give certain clearance for equipment to get under the building. You know, so theoretically, I'd like to be able to do that, because again, this is permanent. This is an interest in land that we're conveying, and, you know, we're all going to be dead and gone someday, and they'll be asking us what our intent was. So, you know, I want to make sure that as long as it's clear that you can get at the line and that you don't have to rebuild everything that was put over it, that, you know, we'll be able to do that.
I think we can work that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So I think we're good on the easement side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
Lisa, can you nail down Brian tomorrow for a fixed appointment to go over that language?
Sure.
So this is good timing. I have to run, but I'm glad I popped in. The convenience of Zoom allows these things to happen at a fast pace. So hopefully Sharon and I can connect and wrap that up in the next 24 hours or so. Jane, I do have a couple comments for Ellen, nothing that I don't think we can solve quickly. So I'll connect with her as well. But it sounds like we're in good shape. I do have my eye on this, and I'll take whatever time needed to get this done.
Thank you. Great.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
So I didn't mean to cut off Glenn. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to get us in a different direction.
No, I do. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I think we're good on the easement. We'll hear from Brian tomorrow and look at the language that's there and let us know what the standard language is or what they normally do for the town, and see if those are acceptable. And then the next thing we had about the Cook Estate was there's ongoing projects right now at the school. So I wanted Glenn Pratt, and then I don't know if the person from the school for operations, Lisa, is she on as well or no?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Susan, Owen, and Patrick Sullivan are on.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, so you want to promote those folks to panelists, and Glenn as well. Glenn, if you want to kind of start in on any concerns.
Good morning, everyone. So a little backstory. The reason I got involved in this was there's a joint project going on between emergency management and the school district behind the Deer Hill School. providing handicap parking for the playground and extra parking for the emergency operations center, and it involves regrading and changing around driveways and parking lots back there. So we were up there with our contractor, and we thought we better take a look at the plans as to where the sewer line was going from Cook Estate, not knowing whether it was coming through the back across the playground where we're working or somewhere else. So when I got the plans, I got in touch with Sue Owens at the school, say, are we all on board? I know we're working in the back on our little project, but do you know what's going on up front? And they were fairly in the dark, even though Brian Joyce had circulated a plan dated June 6, 2022. So then I went up there as recently as this weekend, and it turns out that the area that the contractor has marked for DigSafe to mark the utilities is not anywhere near where the sewer line shows on the plan, which was presented on June 6th. So that is at the very least a curiosity. If there was a plan approved and the contractor is marking out utilities in a different area, and the area that's marking out is the full length of a heavily used driveway and parking lot. So I just want to be certain that the schools sign off on and everybody agrees on what the construction specs are going to be for this trench, because, you know, look at what happened to Sawyer Street. We knew it was going to be troublesome, and we knew it would sink, and we knew after a season it was going to have to be fixed. Fine. But if we're going to have to do the same thing with the driveway of Deer Hill, I think we got to talk about that now. So we know who's paying for it, who's responsible, and what the maintenance is going to be. Now, some people could say, well, that driveway and parking lot in front of Deer Hill is in disrepair. Maybe so, but we shouldn't make it more troublesome than it already is. So that's how I got involved, and that's why I'm just trying to make sure we're all on the same page here. But the more concerning thing to me is that the plan that was circulated is not where the contractor has marked the construction site. So does anybody have a comment on that? Maybe Dan Coughlin or somebody? I'm not sure.
Or is Sean on?
Sean is on. The final date of the plans that were approved were July 1. Sean, you can speak to it.
Yeah, so early in June, I think we had it coming in through that main driveway immediately in front of the school, and comments from the town side. They wanted us, there's some utilities that are in there that they wanted us to stay away from. So that pushed us over into that other parking area. So on the final approved plan, we were in over on that.
Could you circulate that
in
plan?
that parking area, and then so we would cross the main driveway, go through that parking area, and then jump back across the driveway again, trying to keep that main drag open as much as possible.
So Sean, these are the plans
Can we get a copy of
that
that
Dan.
plan?
Yeah, so Dan, you had the plans for about 3 weeks. Were these plans that we approved at our last meeting, were those the ones, Sean, that show the new location?
Yes, the July 1st, I believe, is the date.
And can we get a copy of those?
Sure.
Certainly.
Lisa, you have them. Do you want to forward them to them? I mean, the sewer commission has had our plans, and we've made multiple changes to them over time, as you guys have requested. But Lisa, you can forward the plans that were approved by the sewer commission to those guys, if you will. There's also, so Paul Davis is our contractor, who you may know, and he was the one up there. He has met with Brian Joyce up on site a number of times. He's considering using a technique called dynamic drilling, which would mean he doesn't have to trench the asphalt. And of course, the issue is going to be, do we run into ledge? It can't be used if there's a lot of ledge up there. And he's very aware of all of the utilities going through. He's had I think he's having DigSafe. He's asked Brian to have DigSafe back on school property to identify specifically the gas lines, because that, I think, if it didn't happen yesterday, it's going to happen today. So anything that we need to do we certainly are trying to do this we were asked to do it in a period of time when the least amount of traffic was going on in that parking lot. And we have a stipulation that he is to be off your property and it's to be back in condition by the 31st of August. So that's in many regards why we're in a way time crunched with getting the easement and everything else done at this stage, so that we can get on and off with and get it as back to normal condition as humanly possible by the 31st of August.
I just wonder if, and maybe this is a question for Sean, maybe the specification on the patched trench needs to be spelled out a little clearer on the plan, so that we don't get beyond this winter and find out come spring, the school district has got a sinking trench across their parking lot. We know how to fix it because we got it down on Sawyer. So maybe there's a plan we should put in place similar to that.
It's required through DPW, and it's on the plan that we use flowable fill on
Okay.
school property. So
Great.
that will avoid that.
That's great. Good.
Hey, you want it raised for a speed bump? We can throw that in for free.
Depends where you want it.
Yeah.
Only in the trench
Yeah,
goes where you want a speed bump.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you, but no thank
that's
you.
all I had. Yeah.
When is rec camp over?
The 13th of August.
Okay.
So they'll be starting the back parking lot project that following Monday, and probably this one too, I guess, would be.
Well, I don't know. You got to work. He's working with Brian. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no, if we don't run into any ledge, Paul is convinced he can get on and off in a short period of time. The challenge is going to be he has to wait to start and he runs it into ledge, then we start getting, the timing starts getting difficult to control. As you know, you're all from this town, so.
Obviously, we're concerned with the 31st as a
Yeah.
timeline for school start reasons. So that's obviously chief of our concern. And then what it looks like afterwards in the repair, just
Of
so it's
course.
a safe traverse across it. I mean, very, very basic concerns, but they're there nonetheless.
Of course, and we have this, I mean, our expectation and our communication through Sean to Paul has been, all of those concerns we've expressed, and he feels he can meet them, which is why he's looking into this dynamic drilling, which shoots the pipe under the asphalt and doesn't require trenching. So we can't do it in the whole space because of utilities, but if we can, he's actually meeting and getting cost estimates this week.
Put it off to the side and let it record, and then you can use it.
What else?
So do you think, Sean, that there'll be any changes to the plans that we've already approved?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so basically the construction technique, whether the trenching works, that's fine. If not, then or if the going underneath works, if not, then you have to trench.
Right.
Or it could be a combination,
Okay,
depending on what's found and what spots he's in. That's that Paul wasn't able to be on this morning, but that's his current thinking. Am I right, Sean? That it doesn't have to be one technique the whole way.
Yeah, that comes down, I guess, means and methods. That's on him, whether he's trenching or whether he's drilling, but the locations is what it is, a foot here, a foot there, if something's in the way, but that we're following that layout.
okay.
Any other concerns from the school or Glenn?
No, I'm good. I'm fine.
No,
right,
I think
so,
we're good. If we can get a copy of the most up-to-date plan, that's, just so we have a visual, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Lisa, you'll take care of that?
She said she would, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And if-
Yes,
There
I'll
you are.
get that to you by this afternoon,
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
maybe earlier.
So Bill, I think you had one other issue?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the actual connection fee or the application fee. And I wanted to let Paul and Wayne, I think we might have a couple of different opinions, and I wanted to air those, and then we can decide which direction we're gonna go. Who wants to start?
Well, I can start basically with what we have done recently and what we have done in the past is the application that we have is for a residential unit, and you have 27 residential units, and there's no existing sewer system to hook up to. So according to the application, it would be $1,000 per unit, which would make it $27,000 for Cook and $1,000 for Hagee. It's not based on anything other than the number of residential units. And the EDUs are based on number of bedrooms, and that's easily calculated by the list that you have given us. So I don't see how we calculate it any differently. That's what we've done for all of the other properties in town. It's not based on the number of pumps. It's not based on the fact that Cook Estate is one entity. It's based on the residential units.
Great. Fair enough.
Wayne?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're fine, but Bill brought
Okay.
that to my attention offline, that the number of $100 versus $1,000 what had been reconsidered. And so Lisa has, and I had dropped off the money already. So she's destroyed those checks, and we probably need something in writing, maybe Lisa, just from this vote or something, so that we can submit a request to our management company. Steve Sullivan is on, he's the treasurer, and he'll take care of getting a check for $27,000 for the Cook Estate and a separate check for $1,000 for the Hagee property.
I have a question.
Yep. So we can take the application that you have. We can list an amendment of the addresses of the 27 properties and $1,000 fee for each. And then the second amendment or attachment would be the Haggerty property with their address. So Lisa, if you just list all the addresses so we know what properties are part of that application, then we'll be fine.
Lisa, I can forward you the document from the assessor's office on the number of bedrooms that have the exact addresses, if that would save you a step.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. I know I have it from something, but do some digging in all the.
No, I'll take care of it. I'll send it to you right
files.
away.
Yeah.
Jane, will you copy me on that as well, please?
Sure, Paul, or I don't know if I have your email, but absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Can Lisa send it to you?
She can.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because that list is going to be part of the agreement that our attorney's working on as well.
Exactly. They I believe have it.
Okay.
And but I'm happy to.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think Shin may have dropped off. Oh no, that's the development agreement. I think that work needs to be started, and so I think Shin has it, as does our attorney.
Okay.
Ellen Shapiro.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think because of the uniqueness of this process, I think we should do a vote on this just for a matter of record. So I'll make a recommendation that we vote to agree with the 27,000 connection fee for the 27 properties at $1,000 each. Can I have a second?
And the 1,000 for Haggerty.
Yeah, no, right. And the 1,000 separately for Haggerty. Yeah.
Now that is for the application fee,
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
not the EDUs.
No. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, I'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kearsai. Wayne, you're on mute.
Yeah, we can read your lips though.
Wayne Sawchuck, aye.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, Jane, anything else you need?
I don't think so. Thank you very
Okay.
much. And
Yeah,
you know, I know you guys are in contact with, but where we have a permit already, we can begin the work. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day.
Have fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So do we have any update on the CJC project?
I've heard that the contractor going down the highway is complete, and that now Spirito is going to take it over from the right-hand side of the Stop and Shop and go across the front of the Stop and Shop and make it and do all the connections on the private property versus the street property.
Lisa, do we have anyone on from Tetra Tech?
I don't see anybody from Tetra Tech. I see Alfred Morgan and a Deborah Keller. Not sure.
Is there anyone on from CJC at all?
I don't see anybody other than those two people.
Well, does Dan have a report at all? Or
Yeah, basically, they've completed most of the construction in Route 3A, and today they're going to start to begin the testing of the main.
Okay.
That'll probably take a couple of days. Obviously, they still have to do some work with full pavement restoration, but for the most part, they've been building the inverts on the manholes as they go. They still have to do vacuum testing on the manholes. We still have manual testing, but they've started the pressure testing on the mains. So it's progressing pretty quickly after they got out of the ledge.
The story of Cohasset.
Yeah.
So we have our building inspector on, right? I don't know if you, but you're on mute there.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, I didn't know if you had any questions from our end. We're just, we're awaiting the hookup so we can,
okay.
Complete some of the buildings over there. So that's
Okay. Okay. So I know there was going to be a temporary hookup from the apartments to the Stop and Shop septic, right? Or sewer? No.
No,
Septic.
I think we're waiting for the building to be hooked up completely. The hard
Okay.
part
At this point.
about
Okay.
the temporary hookup is what units we turn on, what do we turn off, how do we monitor it? I think
Okay.
they're so close to hooking up the sewer. I think it makes more sense just to go directly to the sewer and end that debate.
And one thing I should mention is they were supposed to put together a revised plan that showed all three buildings being connected. I thought that was only going to be about a week and a half, but it's been, probably 4 or 5 weeks now, and we're still waiting on that plan. And
When was your last request to Tetra Tech for that?
it was basically at the last meeting. They were Tetra Tech had some drafting backups, but they indicated they would get it in about a week and a half.
Okay. So Lisa, if you could send Mark an email asking him for the updated plans that show all three buildings being connected.
Yeah, just a general question. Maybe Dan, you can answer. When does we have a meter in this coming out of Stop and Shop Plaza, correct?
Yeah, we had originally stipulated a single metering point before it leaves the property, and that's not the way they have designed the system currently. They have flow meters at each of their pumping stations. So they're going to have to basically report those individually and as a total to the town. They took exception to the single meter and basically designed it with 3 separate meters. But it's going to be more work. And obviously it should be more work on their part to report it accurately as far as total flow.
Yeah, but we'll have better data too to find out where the flow is actually coming from.
Yep, that will help too.
Yeah.
If you have 3 individual meters, you know which one, for the
Yeah.
most part, is leaking.
Right. Okay.
You do have some gravity pipe that wouldn't be picked up. So, it's a slight concern, but, nothing's insurmountable.
Okay.
And can we put a meter at our cost at the pump station on just that line coming over?
Well, it's not really set up for that. You have angle points in the manholes that transition it over towards the pumping station. So it's not a good open channel flow type of situation to monitor with an angle point in the manhole. I think you could put a temporary type of meter, which would be maybe a Doppler ultrasonic installed on a band in the pipe, but that has a tendency to collect debris. You could do it probably on a periodic basis if you wanted to install it, leave it in for a period of time. But those are only valid for a couple of inches of flow, and I'm not sure how much the shopping plaza will generate to make that meter useful. Typically, with a system like this, you would have a partial flume or some other type of flow monitoring device to really get a better read as far as flow. So anything we put in now after the fact would be less accurate than what they're using at the sites, which should be mag meters.
Okay, I was just curious in terms of any I or anything that could happen over time or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, you could install one of these Doppler ultrasonics, but they sit in the bottom of the pipe. They tend to collect debris and solids, so they need regular maintenance. And you also need a couple of inches of flow on top of it, and that may be hard to get.
Okay, thank you.
So Dan, over the course of the month of August, they're going to be hooking up the 3 buildings and then being able to go live, I believe, with sewer, say the first week of September. Do you anticipate being on site more than you have been so far? Is there going to be multiple site inspections on your part for the 3 individual buildings as they're being put in? I mean, we talked about grease traps at length for almost a year. So what is your plan with inspections and being on site for some of this activity?
Yeah, you may recall we had some difficulties with Tetra Tech relative to what type of testing they were going to do on the tanks.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm still planning that these tanks should have a hydrostatic test, 24-hour to 48-hour hydrostatic test to make sure that they're not leaking. And we usually fill those all the way up into the risers, to make sure that the risers are also fairly watertight. And I suspect it's probably going to be an effort to get that type of testing completed with them, but that still has to be done. The new mains would have to be tested. They have also resisted manual testing on their lines. There's only that line that runs along with 3A that would probably fall into that category as far as gravity. But we'll plan on being there during all the testing and also during the final connection process, so long as we are notified.
Okay, so we need to get an accurate schedule of events from tech to get to you, so in advance when to be down there, right?
Yeah, I mean, the issue we had more recently is we basically mandated that they notify us 48 hours so that we can in turn notify the owner 24 hours for the 3A work, and that hasn't worked out too well. We got a call yesterday, they were going to do testing with the other day to inspect the testing, but I'm not sure if we're going to have that much coordination. And I'm not sure if Tetra Tech is actually watching the installation on site or if it's going to be taken over by someone else. I don't know if Al's still on this. Al, do you know? Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, we obviously need a set of plans that shows everything. And once we have that set of plans, we'll be able to identify, and I've given them a kind of a list of when we anticipate to be on site to supervise or inspect. I can do the same thing when we receive that set of plans.
Okay. And then I know, Pam, you're on. I'm kind of the new guy in town with the sewer commission, but what is the process for decommissioning the septic systems? Is that responsibility of the Board of Health? Or is this something that we need to understand or someone has to supervise?
No, I was actually listening, thinking the exact same thing, how this is going to kick in. It's up to the owner to decommission it, and they do have to submit an application to the Board of Health. They have to get a permit through us to decommission their tanks and stuff. So I was just thinking, wondering myself, how this is all going to work out, us and the owner, but
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has to file an application to decommission. I would assume it would be after it's connected and flowing to Tupelo.
Right.
Okay. Is there a period of time for that to occur?
I mean, I don't know if there's a deadline especially, but they should just do it right away once they're connected.
Okay. I just want to make sure that all concerned departments are satisfied with whatever needs to be done on CJC.
Mm.
I don't know if building inspector has any issues or open issues at all.
No, I think with the decommissioning, it should be almost taking place at the same time, just for safety reasons. We don't want any
Okay,
abandonment of tanks collapsing or any of those. So I
Okay.
think they should be really open one, close the other right away, just to,
okay,
we don't want anything getting into those or any abandonment. Yeah,
Okay.
so,
so we should ask CJC to submit a separate plan of what they're going to do to decommission it, and they would have to file an application with the Board of Health.
That's right.
Okay, so why don't we put that request in, Lisa, when we ask for the updated set of plans. We also need a decommissioning plan, and I'm sure they know they have to apply for that with the Board of Health. My third concern is that, and this is something for Woodard and Curran, we talked about a month ago, Bill, to them about we're supposed to upgrade 2 pump systems, one at the Deer Hill and one at Tupelo. And I thought the pump was in for Deer Hill, but not for Tupelo. They said something about September timeframe for the pump to come in for Tupelo. So we need to find out from them what their plan is for Tupelo and obviously Deer Hill. We need to know if Deer Hill's finished or when it's going to be finished, and then same with Tupelo. And then if Tupelo is not going to be finished prior to the connection, will the existing pumping station be able to handle the new flow from CJC?
Yeah, and I think
Gonna wait.
since they're not here, we could put that on
Okay.
as an agenda item for the next meeting.
Okay,
Just, I think the run times at the pumping station were sufficiently low to anticipate that the pump station can handle the additional flow. They'd just be running longer. The condition of the pumps, though, I think they're both degraded from what I understand. So, you know, if they're running longer, there's a higher tendency that they could also fail.
right. That's my concern is, though it can handle the flow, they're just going to be running longer hours on those pumps that haven't run long hours at all. So there'll be additional stress on the pumps that we know need to be replaced.
Correct.
So I think one more thing on this is we're going to have to, I know with Dawn leaving and all this, there might be some issues on finances. We're going to have to figure out just the whole billing cycles and how we handle that with Hull and all that sort of stuff. I'd probably have a separate meeting for that one.
Yeah, we, I don't know that they replaced the finance director yet.
I don't know.
So,
I don't
yeah.
think so.
okay.
Not yet.
No, they're still interviewing. They had a couple of interviews this week.
Is anyone filling in temporarily? Is there an assistant finance?
Dawn is checking in once in a while, I think once a week, still approving POs. I think Michelle has taken on some responsibility. But
So what we need is we need to get current financial statements from the finance department. So usually in August, they've cleaned out the prior year. So our new budget should be set. And we should be at, 80 or 90% or 90 or 95% of budget. So if we could get the financial reports for the sewer, we can see where we're beginning.
I'll ask, I'll send Dawn an email.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be difficult. I think we should have it on our radar just so we are, monitoring it.
Right.
If they start flow soon, we're going to start, billing. So
The first bill goes in, it goes to the next quarter once they start. So
Yep.
I think it would be, they start in September, the billing would start in October.
yeah, so we should. I just want to be. I want to be ahead of this one. I don't want to. Wait till the new year and then we figure out we haven't done anything yet. So
Okay.
all right. Okay. Anything else on CJC? Okay. Why don't we go on to 87 Elm Street then?
All right, I believe we have Ted. And I think John McGoldrick.
You're on mute, Ted.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry about that. Hi, good morning. Lisa, I don't know if you're able to promote Deb as well.
Okay, okay. I wasn't sure which subject matter she was part of, but I did promote her. There we go.
Okay, great. All right, well, again, good morning. So since our last meeting, I think 2 weeks ago, we've submitted the easement plan again with the easement document. And I know Sharon, and I don't know if she's still on, was in receipt of that. She had a couple questions to our attorney, and our attorney responded and added the meets and bounds of that with Deb's help of that easement plan. So that is with Sharon for review. And then additionally, we revised the plan set of drawings to incorporate Dan's comments. So Dan, I apologize. We got those done yesterday afternoon, and we sent them to you as soon as they were finished. I don't know if you've had time to review them, but we did send them over to you, and we believe we captured everything that was requested of us on those. And then additionally, I sent over the chart to Lisa of pre-existing bedroom count and then proposed bedroom count and calculating the EDU from prior use to this use. So I think we've sent in at this point everything that was requested of us. I don't know if people have had an opportunity though to review it.
Yeah, I think my concern would be Sharon. I know she's not on, I don't think, but if she could confirm that this easement is satisfactory, and then we really can't vote on accepting the plans until Dan has time to review them. So I don't know where everybody else stands, but Dan, you just got them yesterday, so I'm not sure if you've had time to.
Yeah, I'm searching for them right now. I didn't even see them. And for some reason, I'm not seeing them. But did you send it to Lisa, or Lisa distributed it?
I copied Lisa on it. I sent it to you probably, I don't know, Deb, was that around 3 o'clock?
Around 3, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, Dan, my email, I believe, might come up as J Lubitz. So maybe that's, but.
Okay.
And I can resend them right now as well.
Okay, no, I do have them. Okay. Yeah, I actually, I mean, they don't look that different, but I'll take a look at them. The question I had is, did you want me also to look at the easement? I know I had mentioned that to you, Bill.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that the two agree, we have everything covered.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's no hurt in doing that, but I think, we'll have to have our attorney look at that and just make sure that she's cool with it as well, so.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so
take a
Deborah,
look.
you've been through the easement aspects of it with our attorney so far?
We the one comment that came through to us was adding the bearings and distance or meets and bounds on the easement. So that was done and resubmitted.
Okay.
And from what I can tell so far, there no change to the easement or and with respect to any of the design changes happened. So they still should be coinciding with each other correctly.
Okay.
And just a brief, as Ted mentioned, we did review all of Dan's comments. One of the things that we did resubmit the site sewer plan. One of the questions Dan asked for was the plumbing plans. I did not have those, so those I will send over this week. Just for reference, what was commented there was utilizing holding tanks. So I did have a discussion with the MEP engineer and the architect, and we did switch over to holding tanks versus tying into the municipal sewer.
And you're talking about the drainage from the garage area?
Yeah, so for the, any floor drains that they have in the garage will go to a holding tank.
And how do you actually pump that tank?
They would have to come in with a vehicle to pump it
Through the garage?
through the garage, yeah.
So is that back area going to be paved, or is it going to be still, I think you had gravel originally?
It's still proposed as gravel parking in the rear, and we, the MEP felt as though the location where the oil particle separator used to be is a good location for the holding tank. So that's where we've proposed it currently.
Okay.
Tucked in that little jog in the building. I would suspect that if a vehicle couldn't get through that access area, you know, those pumping hoses typically, my understanding is have about 300 feet of hose. So they could actually stay on the street, I guess, if they had to reach the tank. But I would anticipate that they would have access through the garage, through the easement. That's part of the sewer.
So I see that Sharon is now with us. I'm wondering, Sharon, do you have any comments to the easement or any of the things you're listening to here?
Nothing, just to say that there's few changes that need to be made to the easement, which I will do this morning and send it over. But otherwise, it's in pretty good shape.
Okay. Good.
So the only thing left to do then is our next meeting is August 16th. You'll get the updated plumbing plans to Dan.
Yes.
And he will review those along with the updated plans that you have submitted to Dan. So we could discuss with him if there's any concerns, or if the plans are fine, then we can vote to approve the plans.
Right. And I think as long as the we get the easement agreed as well, you know, whatever minor things are there, we should iron them out to prior to. And we vote on both of them at the same time.
Okay.
I don't see anything significant.
Okay.
Okay. She still has to get your plumbing plans though. We just,
Yes.
with those holding tanks and oil separator stuff.
So by the 16th, we should have everything done and dusted, so we could, you know, put you on first on the agenda and just do a quick vote.
That would be much appreciated. Is there any way, you'd mentioned this last meeting, that potentially there could be a special meeting if everything could come in short order? We are hoping to have a formal groundbreaking on the 10th, next Wednesday, and we're a little bit under the gun of mobilization and getting site work started. I don't want to put pressure on you. I know we got this information to you late, but would there be an ability to try to get it done a little sooner?
I mean, I can look at my. I mean, I could do
That's next Wednesday, right?
That's our target start date. Yes.
And you're talking strictly only 87 Elm.
No, for the entire project. But the 87 Elm will start a little later. So that's not as urgent, but the way that we're pulling our permits and mobilizing the site, it would be great to have everything wrapped up.
It's really up to the chairman.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday are crushing for me. I don't know what, I mean, and you know, I don't know.
The question is, if Shireen would have to approve the easements for us, Dan would have to approve the plumbing plans. When do you think you're submitting the plumbing plans?
Was that in the package from the architect? I did not see that final package that they had.
It should have been.
But yeah, it should be something that we can get from them and just forward along to Dan.
Okay, so Ted, what you sent to him was the updated plans. And then she stated there was a separate plumbing plans with the holding tanks and the garage plan. So those haven't been sent to Dan yet, right?
No, they have not.
Okay.
And again, we just want to confirm what's going to the oil water separator primarily, you know? There is one more thing, Deborah, though. I would like to get a detail on the cleanouts. You're proposing 2 cleanouts to be installed on the service lines that are going to be reconnected.
Okay,
So if we have everything from you to Dan by Thursday or Friday, Dan can review them on Monday or Tuesday. If the 3 of us can get together on them, that would be what, Wednesday the 10th, we would be able to vote on it.
And it shouldn't take us more than, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, if Sharon and Dan bless everything, and then fine, we just make a motion and vote on it. Is my feelings on this.
We just have to have, when you make the motion, we just have to have discussion to make sure that we've covered everything, and then we.
Oh,
vote
yeah,
on it.
but I'm just saying, I think we want to have confirmation from Dan and Sharon on the Zoom that they're giving us, they're okay, that everything is right and ready to go.
Right. So Ted, do you think that's possible?
I do.
Okay.
I can't speak for Sharon, so I know ball's in her court on those comments. So I think from Deb and my perspective, we can get over the plumbing plan. If you can get the detail on the cleanouts, Deb.
Yeah.
Really the easement language.
Yeah, we would just need to be confirmed from Sharon's by Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm gonna send the edits out this afternoon.
Okay.
All right.
You know, yeah, and Dan and Sharon, if you can keep the board apprised as to where we are, sort of,
Sure.
If we get everything done, maybe we could even push it up a day. So I'm sure I can carve out some like 10 or 15 minutes.
Could you also copy Brian, Joyce, and myself on the documents that you send it to Dan, please?
Sure.
I think we lost Deborah, but that was also for her. Oh, no, there she is. Sorry.
I just wrote it down. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're good. So the action items are to get the plans are primarily the issue to get to Dan, because he's got to have time to review them. Plus, you know, he's doing CJC and Cook Estate stuff too. So we want to make sure he's got plenty of time to review these so we can get them approved.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it shouldn't take that long. Half a
Okay.
day, maybe.
Okay, great. And again, thank you very much for the accommodation. Hopefully we can make that work on our end, and we'll do everything we can.
Okay.
So you're doing a groundbreaking? Is there a gold shovel going to be there or what?
I don't think it's a gold shovel at this point.
Yeah,
I thought that's what
Little rusty.
I thought you've been groundbreaking for the last 3 months.
Yeah, that was a demo. So, but we
So you got-
performing that.
So it'll be a rusty shovel and the rusty skippers
Yeah, exactly.
on site?
So, but that is our plan, and you'll start to see a lot more activity. Our general contractor should be moving in and mobilizing, and site work and concrete. So it'll be a lot more active going forward.
Good.
Just while I have you, I mean, are you familiar with the what's being done as far as oil water separators across the street?
For 124?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we had talked about doing something similar on both properties, and I remember Brian Joyce telling us he thought there was something already in the property, but we weren't sure.
My understanding, what we discussed with the MEP was that I think they originally proposed 2 oil water separators over there tying into the municipal as well. So those have been removed from the plan, and the discussion was with the MEP that we would be putting in a holding tank that could potentially be sized, and that's the sizing should be on the plumbing plan, that will tie in both of those buildings.
Okay.
So it got tucked in between the 2 buildings, sort of near that. I don't know if you're familiar with the plan, but connector driveway between the 2 buildings, so that it could link to both of them, so that they could utilize one holding tank for both buildings.
So were those submitted to the sewer commission as well? I haven't seen them.
They have not been sent. They will though. I know that was and Deb, I actually think we moved the location from that area.
Okay,
Yeah, just because there was a lot of ledge right there. So we're going to be, I think, relocating it a little closer to between the two buildings.
okay.
Last time it's been probably about 6 months that we've seen anything on 124. You came to ask us about moving some of the manholes early on, and I don't think we've seen anything since.
Okay, we'll resubmit that plumbing plan.
Okay, so we should probably get 124 Elm on the agenda at some point here.
Hey, anything else, guys? No?
All right, well, thank you again.
Okay,
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
You good?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, has there been any
Yes.
more activity on your replacement on the sewer?
No, I think they interviewed one person last week, I believe. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten any, I actually was gonna bring this up, and thank you, Wayne, but I haven't gotten anything from anybody, you know, like any activities or any of that, and you've started sort of migrating over, right, to the other side? So,
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of stuff there, just training purposes
yeah,
and still covering sewer.
And DPW.
Yes, and DPW.
yeah, maybe you'll become financial director, who knows?
There you go.
Yeah, there is an opening.
Yeah, and also or in the tax collector's office, Paul Linares. has
Oh,
a-
really?
That's right. She got a job closer to home.
I thought, where does she live? I thought she lived in town, no?
No, she lives
Bridgewater, I believe.
Bridgewater, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I believe she's going to Hanson.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I'm confusing her with something else. The other thing I wanted to do, and I sent out something to the board and Lisa, was a vote on the Woodard and Curran proposal to update their regional study that was sent to us the 25th of February 2020. And Situate, this is for something that Situate and Cohasset will pay. I haven't checked with Chris. There was originally some monies left over from the, there was some, I don't even know what you would call it, some fee group that came in from the state to do this. And I think there was like $25,000 remaining for us. But our portion of this would be $9,500 to update the costs and things of that nature from Woodard and Curran. And Wayne, your earlier question about where all these S1s and S2s, there was a document that I think, Lisa, did you send that out, the actual presentation that was put together by Woodard and Curran to Paul and Wayne?
Yes.
Okay, so go, if you have it, it's about the third page from the back. It actually describes all the C3, S1, S2, S3, and there's a map on it, colored map. Looks very similar to this. If you can see it, no, you can't, so I won't bother. So, and it will tell you cost by phases and things of that nature. So, and it ties in directly with the proposal that they sent.
So, you know, I don't want to have scope creep here, but if they're doing a cost analysis on it, do we know if they have a, during their cost analysis on this system, are they able to break out a cost analysis of Cohasset as a standalone? What does it cost to run the plant? And then what percentage of our budget is maintaining the lines?
Why don't we, yeah, we can ask them that. I mean, what, just if you send me that, I can certainly send a mail to her and say, yeah, we'd like you to look at this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, on our side, it would, you know, it wouldn't be applicable maybe to, well, maybe it would be, it would share it with Situate, but.
Right, so we're,
And
it's
I
gonna
think-
cost us so much per foot to maintain the lines. And we know capital expenses occur every 5 or 7 years for us, or every 2 to 4.
Yeah,
So we can calculate that, but we're spending what, 600,000 a year on the plant? 700.
Seven.
Yeah.
So,
Question is, out of that 700, how much of it is the actual plant, and how much of it is our 14 pumping stations, and then how much of it is the actual lines on all the streets? What is that costing us to maintain?
Yeah.
Because that's going to come into play when we have to come up with an agreement with any town.
Yeah,
that's
no
gonna
doubt.
Flow in
Yeah.
and out. Yeah.
No doubt. I think though, this piece right now, this exercise is simply to update construction numbers of the stuff that they had done previously. And I think we might want to segment the two of them, and we
Okay.
can do it on a separate thing, and say, okay, what can you do for the rest of it? Because we still have a determination as to whether or not, you know, Border Street is going to be included or not, or do we just stop sort of halfway down Gannett? You know,
Right.
you know, that stuff still has to be discussed. So.
Seems to me that, you know, when we're going through all the readings that we've had, and it was nice that you guys sent out the kind of a summary of what happened over the last 3 or 4 years. And one of the summaries basically said, you know, the concern for Cohasset in Situate was cleaning up the Gulf. So if we're on Border Street now, we stop at the Situate line, and then we go all the way up South Main to the Situate line. Then in order to clean up the Gulf, we'd have to go all the way around the Gulf back to Border.
I agree.
So that would encompass the entire Gulf, and the entire Gulf would theoretically be, the residents would be able to hook up, and theoretically there would be cleaner environment for the Gulf. So if they don't hook up that whole section, then a third of the Gulf is not, we're shoveling sand against high tide.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think that, you know, one of the biggest users may be the River Club.
Yeah.
They're not hooked up to anything, I don't think.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree.
You're waiting, you're on mute.
All right, thank you.
We're getting good at lip reading.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, there's several things in here, and one thing that I pointed out maybe to Bill, but not to Paul, was the idea of when we get to a fee situation, I would like Situate to be paying us what it is that they'd be paying Hull for the capacity, so that in fact any capacity that we have that we can use, we would treat that flow, and we would be getting a significant amount more than it you know, more revenue than we would normally get. In other words, there has to be something that Hull isn't even mentioned on this, but and I guess we're going to have to do something about the municipal agreement. If they get a municipal agreement, could we eliminate our municipal agreement and have them pay for the flows that are going from Hull Street and stuff, so that we don't spend $1 million to reroute Hull Street into our system. So there's a couple of, there's a little financial things in there that this has to be, and I think as was just pointed out, what are the costs of us to do this, and what should we get reimbursed for the use of our pipes, and what does it cost to maintain them, and all this other stuff. I think doing some of the things I just suggest here will be very important to make this, first of all, even to make it so that we can sell this to Cohasset voters in terms of what it is that we're doing, you know. You know, I think that's important. The other thing is there has to be some thought about having people it has to be like Little Harbor in terms of, if the line gets in, the houses have to connect, or it's not going to satisfy the reason of trying to reduce the pollution in the Gulf if people are still polluting the Gulf, in, in a certain period of time. And then there may be considerations about, are you going to sewer vacant land now that sewer is available to it, or is it just for existing houses and businesses and stuff like that? So there's huge number of sort of questions that have to be answered.
We're certainly looking into a dark hole here.
Yeah, and I've always talked about sewering the project on 3A and knowing that there's a water line that went through from South Main Street up into that street, and in fact there's a road in Situate that connects onto it off of the Henry Turner Bailey Road that goes into North Situate. That maybe that's something that is part of the Situate plan, is to go there, and then we would pick up. Then we could sewer that development if it became necessary through Situate over to South Main Street, back down again. So there's a number of issues. And I guess the other thing is there are other sources of pollution coming in from Situate other than just the Gulf there. In other words, down by Hatherley Golf Course and stuff, isn't that water coming around? And we're not probably planning on going down Hatherley Road and stuff. It shouldn't, we should be going just to Border Street up through the North Situate Village and then to South Main Street, picking up that little lane that runs through Mordecai Lincoln. I don't know if it's Mordecai Lincoln.
Yeah, it is. It's Mordecai Lincoln, yeah.
And there are quite a few houses. There's probably 30 houses on that little street that are right on the water on the other side.
Plus the condo right there on the corner.
Yeah. Where's that flow go?
Yeah, well, I think all that stuff was going to be picked up. I think the one thing that we're probably not going to be able to get addressed is going to be all the stuff that comes off of the golf course, all the nitrogen that comes off of, when they're fertilizing it up there, that goes into that little stream that then ends up into the Gulf.
That's true.
Yeah, so out there.
So
well, with the big grant that they have, there should be monies for some sort of environmental impact study, I would guess, that goes along with whatever else the funds are to be used for. I know it was like $250,000 or whatever it was. Not all of it was for just the sewer aspect of it, was for other aspects of the regional area of whatever they're trying to do over there in Situate.
So if you remember from our last meeting that we had with Situate, the updating of that report was sort of the ask that we had from that meeting. And I think everything that we have next, I think would probably, once we get that going, I think, presuming that all the parties are interested in completing this, is that we may want to do a couple of things. One is, maybe regular meetings, like monthly meetings, where we go through all this stuff. Because Wayne, you're right on what you're saying about all the things we have to consider, but there's probably a whole lot of other things we're not even thinking about yet. And that's number one. The other thing is, and I'll put this on me because 2 weeks ago I said I was going to do it and I haven't, is to put together a draft talking points that we can put on our website as to, dispel some of the rumors that are going around about connecting the sewer, and that it's not going to lead to anarchy or anything like that between the towns. And so we put it on our website and probably put it on some of the other social media platforms. Not that I know what they are, don't ask me, but at least we can do that. And then schedule another meeting with Situate and say, okay, we've done our homework, now what's next? That kind of thing. Because one of the things, one last thing, Paul, one of the things I'm aware of, and I don't know how far it's getting, but is this, I don't know whether I'd call it grassroots or not, but wanting to pave South Main Street. That pushes out 5 years.
Now,
so I don't know who's pushing that, but I don't
either.
Yeah. Listen, this project is so large, really, that repaving South Main Street after, in other words, they should just go ahead and pave it now, okay? And the cost of redoing it is going to be all carried in the sewer thing, and it may be a number of years before it, before the sewer project is finished, to have to do it.
So Wayne, it's not the cost, it's not the problem. There's a 5-year moratorium where you can't dig.
That's self-imposed.
Moratorium. That's a question. Moratorium. And if you go to the town of Cohasset and say, I want to do the sewer, I know you have 2 years left of the moratorium, but I'm going to resurface the street just the way it is today and do it and make it part of the thing. Because
Okay, so you'd have to ask for a waiver to the moratorium.
it's our own moratorium.
Is it our own? It's the town's moratorium, not the state?
Yeah,
Right.
oh yeah, it's just strictly the town.
Oh, I thought it was
Okay.
state.
No,
I thought it was state.
no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's self-imposed. Okay.
Yeah, never mind. So I thought it was a state. I thought
Yeah,
for
I did
sure
too.
it was a state thing. So,
Okay.
but
So
all
the
right.
town imposes that on all the utility companies, so they're not coming in here and digging up every other year.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, as Lisa pointed out, we don't have this on the agenda, so we probably can't vote on it, but I would, I'd like to just get agreement. Well, I suppose not a vote, but I would like to say we're gonna go ahead and pay the $9,500 to get this study going, so.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Right, this is under other business.
Other
talking
business,
about
yes.
the anticipated, so.
We don't, it's under $10,000 as far as,
Yeah.
what the town goes by in capital expenses, so I don't have an issue with approving an expenditure.
All right. All right, so I'll and Lisa, I'm gonna be by tomorrow to sign, so maybe we can figure out what we do with Jim, just get a communication with him and say we're gonna do it, and then I'll get to Rosemary Blacker.
Okay, so I believe I already did. And
Okay.
and Jim responded that they're on board with that. They
Oh,
got,
you're right. I did see his response. Yes. Okay.
And this is to Chris Senior anyway, so he's gonna be the one that's gonna sign the.
Correct. Yeah.
So that we should just tell Chris, that's all.
Yeah.
Technically, it's out of his budget, his expense, based on the funds that were left over from whatever
Exactly.
account that's in.
Yeah,
So it's not even the
there's-
sewer.
Yeah, it was some sort of a intermunicipal thing. I don't know what it was. So regional study or whatever. So,
We're just
okay.
recommending that he sign it, that's all.
Yeah. exactly.
Yeah, let's find out. Hey, let's find out what the balance is.
Yeah, I don't think they'll tell us.
Hold on.
So. All right. Does anybody have anything else? No?
No, I think the only thing I have is, when we move forward with this in the next couple of months, what I'd like to do is, and I don't know, I don't mind doing the work myself, but I'd like to get an inventory of the of South Main Street, the number of residents, and then what streets, if I'm going south on South Main Street towards Situate, I counted about 3 or 4 streets on the left-hand side and only one, which would be Beechwood. And then there's Steedle Lane, so there's 2 on the right-hand side. So I want to get an inventory of what streets are there, what homes are all there, so we can say that the maximum capacity right now is 82 homes. And then we would want to go to Situate to say, okay, from where we left our connection up at Border, go completely around to South Main so that we encompass the entire Gulf and understand how many homes are there on their side. And, if what we told everybody is that we were going to sewer South Main and Border to stop the pollution problem with the Gulf. So if we find out how many homes that is, that theoretically would stop, we have a starting point, because what we don't want to do is sewer South Main and then nothing but, the shopping district in Situate is hooked up, and then all of a sudden people are saying, hey, all we did was hook up all these new restaurants and, stores and stuff in North Situate Village. We didn't solve any problem. So I think if we have a starting point of residential homes that abut the Gulf, and then the ones that are across the street from the Gulf, we have a starting point.
And
I can start work on that.
But
Okay.
Dan has a copy of the plan for Cohasset. I mean, of each house, so you really can see it. You can see how they're connecting up and stuff like that for us. And then it's a case of seeing if you get something from Situate, and could be very well come up on, their website. They might have, maps of Situate that show the different parcels.
I know we have that big 800-page report on our website. So you think it's in there?
Yeah, you can look and let us know.
Yeah.
It just, there's so many places where there's a house that's sort of tucked in here that you don't see driving down the street. Or you see one driveway that looks like it's 9 feet wide and there are 3 houses down at the end.
And that report is a little bit, it's dated, so over the past couple of years, there's been some growth.
Yeah, we just need an inventory of what's there, so we can say, okay, if we're only we said, off the cuff, we'll give Situate 10,000 gallons a day. Well, what if just those homes eat it up? And they can't put any restaurants, they can't do North Situate Village, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what the capacity is that they have.
Yeah. Well, I think when the preliminary report they put together, they had it as North Situate as a mixed use with restaurants and the whole 9 yards. I mean, so. But then again, that's stuff we can talk about, I mean.
That's right. Okay, that's fine.
So. All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
All curious, aye.
Wait, Chuck, aye.
Okay. All right, thanks.